Right, it's been a while since my last update on the Street Talk bike. I've actually now picked up a figure to represent Jesse. I asked around on the Street Talk Command Centre Facebook group, and a couple of the people on there said they used action figures, and the one guy said he used a Power Rangers figure. Now, I was looking online on eBay. I was actually looking at the Street Rider. I was also looking at the Straight Run Riders, where it actually sits on the bike. There was a Start Line Rider where it stands up and he's pushing the bike, and I lost many bids, many auctions. And eventually I decided to go down the action figure route, and I found this guy. Apparently, according to the seller's listing, it's a Marvel figure. I don't know what Marvel figure it is, it didn't say, but I picked this guy up for £10 free postage. Now he stands, like I said, 1/12 scale, 6 inches, stands 6 inches tall, or just under 6 inches. Because I found out that the 6-inch action figure is actually 1/12. He's about as tall as me Mandalorian stroke Darth Vader. You don't get a head or a helmet or whatever, but that's okay. You don't get no hands either, so what I've had to do is I've had to raid my spares box, and I got one off Darth Vader and I got one off a Stormtrooper open-handed, so he can grip the hand controls, the handlebars. So again, this guy cost me £10 off eBay. Really well worth it. He bends his legs and knees bend in the middle. He actually leans forward as well, like that. So that's even better. I've tried him on the bike. He might be slightly a bit too big for the bike, but that's fine. Now for the helmets, I looked on eBay many times, and I saw this one chap. Motorcycle models, I can't remember his actual username, and he had various helmets. He had a Rye, and he had that's the only one I can remember, but he had various different helmets from the various different years, and I asked him if he could make me a helmet for Street Talk. Now the Street Talk helmet was called a Ghibli, Ghibli, and I asked the guy who was selling the motorcycle helmets in 1/12. I said, is there any chance you can make a Ghibli? And he says, no, I don't do those, unfortunately. I do apologise. So searching, I managed to find these guys' helmets. Now these, I'm off a G.I. Joe Wild Weasel. And there's actually two helmets for $8.50. You get a closed one with a closed visor, and you get one with an open visor, and you can see his face underneath there. I said G.I. Joe Wild Weasel, and the detail is absolutely tremendous. I actually like the helmet the way it is. So there was two of these for $8.50, free postage. But for whatever reason, the seller decided to give me that one as well. I don't know if it's some kind of prototype helmet, and you know, they've only got a couple. I think they've got one left on eBay, and they wanted to get rid of the helmet, so they give me this for free. I didn't even expect it. I was just expecting those two. But yeah, they're really nice. Like I said, I love that detail on there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the detail on those, and I'm going to cut down this one. So I'm probably going to smooth those down. I'll probably keep that bit. Whoops. I'll probably smooth all that down. Keep that bit on the front there, around the front. Maybe put some filler in to try and even out the visor, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. And then obviously I've got to take the actual the face shield where it comes down. I've obviously probably got to sand that off as well, and I've got to sand around the back here. But two helmets for $8.50 and the bonus of a free one. So they're slightly too big for his neck. So I've had to put a bit of blue tack inside. That one I can't get on his neck, so I'm going to have to widen that hole. And like I said, I'll put some blue tack in there. So I'm just going to pause this a sec. Right, so putting the helmet on top of his neck, And you can see a bit of the pink underneath, which I actually quite like. Because obviously Jesse, I mean, I know he's got like the neck piece, you know, where he pulls the strap round his neck strap all the way around. But if you look on certain scenes, you actually see the hair sticking out of his back of his head sometimes. So that's the open face one. And I think it looks really, really nice. You know, I am thinking about leaving this. You know, maybe, you know, Jesse got an upgrade as the years went by, or maybe they had a reunion. So they're taking that one off. Like I say, with the blue tack, just push it on top of there. And there you go. There's the closed helmet one. Not bad at all. Really, really nice. Right, now for the actual figure, what I'm going to have to do, I'm not going to have to really do that much to this. I've probably got to cut the strapping off his arm there. I don't know, maybe I could leave that on. I don't know. This over the shoulder, around his chest strap has got to come off. And the one around his waist has got to come off. I think I might leave the boots the way they are, but that's it really. Just a bit on the chest. Maybe that bit on the arm, but yeah, I actually really like this figure. So, that's what I'm sitting at the moment. And we'll see what happens when I start the modification. Right, okay. While I'm waiting for the stanchion rods to dry on my diorama, I'm going back to my figure that's going to represent Jesse on Street Talk. So what I've done is I've got my flat-headed pin file, and I've sanded away the chest strap. Was quite hard on my fingers, but eventually I got there, and I've gone all the way over his chest and under his arm slightly, and then round to the back strap. Now the back strap isn't that prevalent, so I'm probably going to leave that. I've also done the belt as well, all the way around. And what you can probably make out is the scratch marks from the pin file. Also, on my helmet, my spare one, I think it might have been a prototype, I've got rid of all that lovely detail. The other two helmets are still perfectly fine. There they are, look. They're still there. I haven't touched those at all. So I've sanded down all that detail, again, with the flat-headed pin file. And it was quite tough on my fingers. Now this little groove here, I can't get rid of it, so I'm probably going to end up filling that in. And there's a couple of grooves on the side that I can't get rid of either, so I'm probably going to end up sanding that down and fill that in as well, sorry. And then the front of the helmet, I've left that because I'm going to use probably some milliput and then make that round. But yeah, I like this the way it is. It looks really, really good. The scratch marks were quite prevalent on that as well, but I've managed to pick me up a Dspaie reciprocating sander at cost price from work, and I'm using the 600 grit sticky sand sheet that you stick to the end of the attachment. There's all you just cut them off the paper and them self-adhesive, and then all I've been doing is slowly working my way to get rid of those scratch marks. So I'm just going to push this. I'm going to put this down a sec so I can put on the tripod. Right, now my camera's on the tripod, I can do two-handed. So I'll just switch me sander on various speeds, and I'll just pull his arm up. You can see that's going backwards and forwards, and I'm just going to work it across there. I can also change the speed as well. Oh, I've accidentally switched it off. Right, there we go. And I'm just going to work it across the strap and smooth it down. I'm using the 600 grit paper, and I just want to get rid of them scratch marks. And then if I put his other arm up and do his belt as well, as you can see there's a lot of scratch marks there, and I want to try and smooth those down. So just doing that. And that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm just going to be keep going round until I can get it smooth. I might need to primer the figure first, just to see if it brings up any of the scratch marks. Hopefully it won't. But yeah, that's what I don't know whether to go with a coarser grit in the end. And then, whoops. I'm just going to pause this a sec because I've dropped the helmet. So I've picked the helmet back up from the Carpet Monster. You can see there the grooves. I might have to fill those in, but like I said, I can just draw that across and then smooth it out, because there was a lot of scratch marks on this helmet with the pin foil. But this is tremendous. So I've still got a lot of work with this to do. Because I don't know if you can make it out there. Whoops. Switch off your bloody thing, that's it. You could probably just make it there. It's not quite circular, it's more like flat. So I've still got to do some work with my sander, but yeah. That's what it's working, it's getting there slowly. I might have to use a coarser grit. But yeah, not doing too bad at all. So that's where I'm sitting at the moment. Right, another update on the Street Hawk. So I primed the figure, and there was still some scratch marks showing through, so I've sanded those down a bit more. Right in the middle where the belt buckle could be, you could say, when I sanded it down, a little groove formed, so I filled that in slightly. With the helmet is done. Well, I wouldn't say it's done, but it's like all been filled in. So when I left you, I'd just been smoothing down. I then filled that with milliput, and I've sanded the milliput down. There's still a bit here and there, but nothing too major. It's only very slight there. The proof in the pudding was when I primed it. But yeah, that's not looking too bad either. So that can be now probably re-primed, and then obviously I've got to use my scribe and score the helmet visor in. And then I've obviously got to put those little things on there with some more milliput, the control buttons and stuff. But the helmet's not looking too bad either. It's looking more like a Ghibli helmet now. I don't think it's 100%, but that ain't too bad either. So that's where I'm sitting at the moment with the figure. I still haven't done any work on the bike. It's still up there because I wanted to get the figure done first. But yeah, not looking too bad.